The Others by Gabrielle Tandlich. Once upon a time, there was a land where anyone who looked or acted a little different was locked away in a dungeon. They were prisoners called the Others, and no one wanted to be near them. Because the normal people wanted to make sure they were just like everyone else, they never spoke up. They let the Others stay locked away from society for many, many years. In the dungeons, the Others were ignored. They were left to take care of themselves, even though most of their differences made that impossible in such bad conditions. After so much time of the Others living this way, some people finally decided that it wasn't fair to treat people differently because of features they couldn't control. These normal people finally spoke up and got others like them to listen. They led something called the Civil Rights Movement that fought for everyone to be treated equally. Although some people liked this movement, a lot did not. They still thought that people with differences had no business being around everyone else. Luckily, in 1975, a hero came to the rescue. A law called PL 94142 was passed and allowed all the others to be freed. Just like that, others were no longer disregarded. They were starting to be considered just the same as everyone else and were gaining more and more rights as time went on. Thanks to that first law, everyone with differences could go to school. They were included in classes with all the normal students, and with the addition of other laws like the IDEA and the ADA, they were finally given a voice. Although the transition wasn't as smooth and perfect as expected, everyone was getting used to this new way of living. Schools and teachers even seemed to be going out of their way to make school life successful for everyone. There were now 2 teachers in every classroom, and they were working together to make sure all students were supported. Sometimes students got help one-on-one, sometimes as a small group, and sometimes they were just learning together as one whole class. The teachers eventually got so good at working together this way that from the outside it looked like a beautifully trained dance. There were still a few bumps in the road here and there, but nothing that came without an easy fix. Some students were so used to their past living conditions that they weren't always sure how to behave. The teachers were originally a bit worried, but with a few simple steps the classrooms were back in order. Students just needed to be often reminded of their expectations with small direct statements, and sometimes even pictures. With new inventions in technology, students were not only getting the voice they'd waited so long for, but they were gaining a new skill set as well. Students who couldn't speak before were now able to through voiceover. Students who couldn't see screens before could now magnify and zoom with accessibility options. Even students who couldn't properly touch the screens could now participate with assistive touch. Any difficulty you could think of was somehow able to be modified through technology. The world was becoming so adaptable that the others were starting to seem less and less like others. With this new universal design for learning, all students were able to show what they were capable of, regardless of what that might be. They were given choices and freedom to express their knowledge through ways that made sense for them. Students could work through the abstract or the concrete, the visual or the auditory, the hands-on or observational, and so on. Students were finally persevering because they were, for the first time, actually given the chance to. After decades of growth, it seemed like a completely new world. Society was completely blended, and those with differences were considered just as worthy and respectable as everyone else. All the dungeons in the land were long gone, and the others was a term all had forgotten. The end.
The main piece of technology I used for my project was basically my favorite piece of technology ever, my Cricut. It's ridiculously useful for teachers in the classroom, but it's also super helpful for students with disabilities who may not be able to cut as quickly or efficiently as other students. With the click of just a few buttons, students can have the most intricate, or even the most basic designs cut for them in seconds. They can use shapes already created, like I just did, or if they're really technologically savvy, they can use design space on the computer to create their own artwork to be cut out. If you don't have a Cricut already, I suggest going out and getting one ASAP.